Hey, it's Robin at Fresh Face Ginger, and today I'm talking about eye makeup in our 40s and beyond. I think as we get older, we're taking much better care of our eyes skincare wise. We're on top of the eye creams and the patches under the eyes and things like that. But when it comes to eye makeup, I think there's still some areas where we're making mistakes. You may notice that what you love to do with your eye makeup in your 20s isn't really working so much in your 40s, 50s, and beyond. So maybe let's try to change some things up a little bit. These are just my suggestions and what I think looks good in my opinion. So take it for what it is. So I have the rest of my face makeup on except for the eye makeup, including the under eyes, because I wanted to show you step by step, including a little bit of skincare and just what I do to kind of brighten the eyes up, but not focus on or trying to prevent makeup from settling into like the fine lines around the eye. I'm going to start with a tallow balm to lock in hydration. And yes, this is a lip balm, but it actually works really well around the eyes too. So I already did my skincare before I got started with the rest of my makeup, and I just want to add a little bit extra. And I'm just kind of tapping it in with my ring finger. You always want to be really gentle around the eyes and don't rub or put a lot of pressure on that skin. But we're just kind of trying to lock in the moisture and also give a nice primer for the eye makeup. You may like to start with eyeshadow, and if you go a bit heavier handed with the eyeshadow, that would probably be a good idea because it's easier for cleanup. I don't go as heavy on the eyeshadow as I used to, so I like to start with the under eye area. And you can use a concealer, or I like to just use a bit of my foundation under the eyes. I try not to do too much because, again, when you go super heavy with the makeup under the eyes, it is really obvious and it's more likely to crease up. It's more likely to look super cakey under the eyes. So we want to make sure we're using the product sparingly and then also blending in and then also cleaning up where it actually could settle into the fine line. Very gently pressing the product in with a makeup sponge just to kind of get it evenly blended right there. Again, you don't need a whole lot of makeup under the eyes. And then I kind of let it settle for a while, let it settle to where it may start to crease and get into those fine lines a little more because we're going to do a little bit of cleanup. Once it's had some time to settle into those lines, I want to take a tiny brush like this and kind of clean it up a bit. Anywhere where there's makeup just kind of in the crease. And you could use this on any little areas that you have. Just make sure the brush is clean because you're trying to kind of pull excess product out. Then once I've finished with that, I'm using a very tiny amount of setting powder. We're not doing any heavy baking. You want to go very light-handed with this, and it's just enough product to like set that in place so that it doesn't move, but also you don't want to go so heavy that you're getting like major caking under the eyes. So you can see the difference right there, how that looks. That's what we're going for. And the whole point of doing it this way with minimal product is that we don't want to draw any more attention to those fine lines around the eyes. We also don't want to drag the eyes down using heavy product. And once the under eyes are set, then I start to work on the upper eyelids. And again, I'm just going to put a little of my foundation on the top. And you want to spread this out and blend it in. You don't need a whole lot for this. And I might even blend it in with a brush like this just to make sure there's not too much up there and it's evenly spread out. And the whole point of this is just to create a foundation for the eyeshadow so it won't move or smudge or get streaky, anything like that. Right before putting eyeshadow on, I do set that in place with a little bit of powder just so it goes on really smooth. It makes it a little bit easier to blend and makes everything stay in place. It'll make your eyeshadow last much longer this way. Now, here's one of the main ways I want to change up the eye makeup is with the eyeshadow. When we were younger in our 20s, I know I did this. I used to do super heavy eyeshadow. I love doing the dark smoky eye. And when you're younger, I think you can definitely get away with that more because you can pretty much do whatever you want with your makeup. But as you get older, you'll notice doing the super heavy eye makeup may not look as good anymore. It may, in fact, make you look older. And again, I am not an anti-aging person, but as we get older, we're not trying to make ourselves look even older than what we actually are. You want to look your age or possibly even look a little younger, right? There's nothing wrong with that. So what I want to do is if I do a smoky eye, I try to go with a softer color, but generally speaking, I just try to keep my eyeshadow really simple, and I'll show you what I do. First, if you want to keep it really simple, you could do what is called a wash of color on the eyes. And that's basically where you're just taking one eyeshadow color, starting kind of close to the lash line on the movable part of the eyelid, and then blending upward. And that's all you're doing. You're just doing a wash of color all over the eyelid, and you could just keep it to one color like that and be done with it. Super easy, super quick. And then this is also really simple. You're just adding a second color, a darker color, to create a little depth on the eyes. I'm adding it to the outer third of my eyelid and blending upward over the natural crease. You could even smudge this under the lash line a little bit like that. But we're just using this technique to create some lift, because you'll notice your eyelids tend to be more hooded or maybe a little bit more saggy as you get older. So this is a way just to kind of draw the eyes up a little bit. But we're also keeping it simple. We're also keeping it soft. It's just a really pretty easy look. And whether you do a wash of color with one eyeshadow color or you decide to use two, like what I'm doing here, you can use whatever colors you want. So you can kind of play around with it. Again, I probably wouldn't go for the heavier, like super dark eyeshadows like what I used to do when I was younger. But I feel like doing this softer eyeshadow has been much better for me in my 40s. It looks much prettier. Now when I've tried to do the heavy smoky eye, it just doesn't look right. It's not the best when you age. I'm just being honest. And then I'll take a clean, fluffy brush like this to just blend it out so that there's no stark lines there and everything is just kind of soft. And then you'll notice I have some eyelashes on. These are not my natural lashes. They're just some really soft, wispy brown eyelashes that I got from Amazon. I put these on because I can't really wear mascara. I've kind of had an allergic reaction to everything I've tried lately. So I think there's some common ingredient that I can't use anymore. But if you do use mascara, what I would do is concentrate on the upper eyelashes. Again, if you put super heavy mascara or even an eyeliner on the lower lash line, you'll notice that it's too heavy. It kind of drags the eyes down, and it can even draw attention to those little fine lines you get under the eyes. So this is just my suggestion. Maybe try from now on keeping it on the upper lashes and just leaving it at that. Just try it and tell me what you think. And last but not least is the eyebrows. Mine won't really grow back anymore because I tweezed and waxed them into oblivion when I was in my 20s because it was popular to have pencil thin eyebrows. But now it's not the thing anymore and my eyebrows are gone. So I have to fill them in with makeup, and this is how I do it. I'm using some eyeshadow on this tiny angled brush, and I'm just trying to fill in the areas that are sparse and also draw kind of like some little hair-like strokes so that it looks more natural. And I'm not simply coloring them in because I want it to look like eyebrow hair. Just keep going until you get the desired effect that you're looking for. I'm not going to make you watch this whole thing because it takes a long time. And I just want to show you the difference before I do the other eyebrow. You see how it kind of just frames my eye. And generally it looks better because my eyebrows aren't disappearing. Also, you'll notice my eyebrows look a little darker than they normally do. I do color my eyebrows with a hair dye just because my eyebrows are really light in color naturally, and they've gotten even lighter because I've been getting grays. Yes, I hate it. I'm getting white, gray hair in my eyebrows now, but that's just a part of aging. And so I will use the hair dye so that even when I don't have any makeup on, it looks like I have a little something there. My eyebrows don't just completely disappear into my face. But filling them in like this and just kind of brushing the hairs upward, it makes all the difference. And it's such a simple thing. And you can use powders, there's gels, there's all different kinds of products you could try for the brows, but maybe just try something. And if your eyebrows are super light as you're getting older, like mine are, maybe consider using a little bit of hair color. It could help. I am probably a hypocrite for this one because I talk about clean beauty and I use this on my eyebrows. It's that Gotta Be Glued gel, but it works to keep the eyebrow hairs in place. So I just I take a very small amount and brush it through, again, just to kind of give my eyebrows some fullness, to brush those hairs up, the hair that I actually have left. And it makes for a better look in general, and it just kind of keeps them in place all day, and I don't have to worry about messing with them or doing retouches. This is the complete look with the eyes and brows finished. It overall is just a much softer look. It works better as you're aging. If you're in your 40s like I am, or you're older, this kind of look on the eyes just seems to be the prettiest to me. It looks the best. I know I can't tell you what to do with your makeup. You're going to do whatever you want anyway. These are just my suggestions, but maybe give these things a try and see how it changes your overall look. You may like it.